Hi, today I want to have a look at the Wavefinder on Tonverk. I've been spending a little bit of time understanding how it works. I thought I'd like to share the knowledge I have with you. First of all, I'm going to go through the basic controls. Then we'll look at some of the speed settings and particularly the rates, which are not listed in the manual, but I've taken a little bit of time and worked out roughly what they are. Then we'll have a look at the animation options here, what kind of animations we have and how they interact with the waveforms. Then we'll introduce a second oscillator and see how the two waveforms together, the two oscillators, can interact together. Finally, we'll have a look at the LFO modulation. That means not using this speed or position control, but using the LFO functions in here to modulate the wavetables. And we'll also have a quick look at some of the LFO rates, because they're kind of cryptic as well. There is a method behind them, but I'll go into that and explain how you can link your LFO rates to tempo, to quantize them, etc. Okay, so let's kick off then. We have here a wavetable loaded. You load your wavetables here with D. I've got two that I've put into Tonverk here. This one is on wavetable number 1. Yes. We go to wavetable number 2. Then we have a simple sine wave at the moment loaded onto that. So I have these two wavetables. We flick between wavetable 1 and wavetable 2 here. Okay, and I'll just go very quickly through some of the functions, the simple functions. One, of course, is that we can detune this. We can do this in blocks, or we can do it fine tuning. So we can detune the wavetable here. We can adjust our level here. Very simple controls. Then we have the position in the wavetable. And a wavetable in the Tonverk's case is made up of 64 individual waves, and they're interpolated. That means that when you move from the left of the wavetable to the right, or vice versa, there is no jump between these little snippets of sound. They're interpolated, they're actually joined together mathematically, so we can move through with the position here. Then we have, at the bottom here, we have this speed function, which you can see is set to 40 at the moment. I won't change that because that's set to a BPM value, which I'll come to a little bit later. But that's where we can change, with this dial here, we can change the speed value. Then we have a way of adjusting level here, modulating level. So if we, let's introduce some position here, this allows us, these two controls here allow us to modulate through the wavetable. This one here allows us to move through the wavetable as defined by the speed here. And this one here allows us to adjust the level. So if I set this lower, you'll see the wavetable moving here, the little icon at the bottom here moving through the wave. It's reducing the volume, or if I drop the level here, it goes the other way. I can increase the level. Now, this is all dependent. This is all dependent upon which modulation source we have, or which shape of modulation. So let's reset these to the center again. We have different types of modulation that we can use. Let's just reset these. So let's have a look at what type of animation is possible. We have here the first one. This is a one shot. You can see when I press the trigger here, press the key, the wave is cycled once and then it holds. And we have a whole series of these in here. There's a few that just go through here, go through them quickly. That one's also a single cycle. So we have a series of single cycle. Then we start getting into the looping. Now this is a ramp down loop. That's why you're getting that sort of thud sound every time it gets to the bottom due to the shape of the wave here. If we go to the next one, the triangle, this allows us to move smoothly through the wave continuously. Then we have a square. This just moves to 2 positions. So if I now move this, the position, then it will jump between 2 different waves within the table. Different position, different waves, but always 2, on, off. Okay, and then we have a ramp up, it's another loop. So also have a thud because we have a ramp going up, then suddenly down, up, down. Then an interesting one is the random, which is quite fun to watch. So if I hold this, it doesn't hop around as you'd imagine, it kind of accelerates, decelerates, and moves at different speeds through the wave in different directions. It's quite a nice animation for getting sort of textual sounds and interesting sounds. You never know what it's going to do. Random, of course. So that's another one we have. Then we have sample and hold, which also effectively is a form of random. It's hopping through different positions within the wave. And this one hops, not like the previous random, which was a smooth movement through the wave. So this one hops if you want to pull out individual sections. Okay, so those are the animation options we have. The last one is to animate wave 2. So if we go to wave 2 now, here I have a sine wave here. What we'll do is let's go back to 1. We'll turn down the level here completely, so this is silent now. And we'll go back to wave 2, and this put a volume up here. So you can hear we have just a sine playing at the moment. Now, if we go to the first one, we can see it's moving rapidly through the wave, it's animated, but we're not hearing it here on source 1 yet. So let's introduce then some speed, and I'll set this back to 40 again. Now 40, the reason I keep using 40 equates to a half note. And I'll come to this in a second, but I've worked out roughly what the values are. If we go to 35, that's 1 to 1. Then we have 40, which is half notes. If we go to 50, we have quarter notes. Maybe we can see this actually playing. Let's get this moving. So if I put the, we'll come to it in a second, I'll come back to that. But anyway, let's stick it on 40 for now. And if we then increase the position, then our sine wave is being moved. But we want oscillator 1 to oscillate it. So what we actually have to get this to be modulated by wave 1, here it's W2 animate. What this is doing is saying effectively this wave here we see will be modulated by W2. So it doesn't help us here if we want to modulate here. What we have to do is set this animation here to W1. And then we have wave 1 now modulating this sine wave. Go back to the other one here, so we'll get that off of there. Let's put it actually on a triangle. We go. So if I adjust the speed of this one now, we can hear in the background, this one isn't playing, this is off, so we can hear our sine wave here being modulated. So that's the final function within the modulation options. And we can increase the speed of this. Modulate level. position, change of position. And this is all coming from the sine wave now. Let's reset this. Okay, so those are the modulation options available from the Wavefinder machine. Now we have other options, of course. Let's just turn this off, reset this. We have other options to modulate as well. If we didn't want to use, then we'll return now to let's just lower that one. Drop that down so we don't hear it. Just return now to wave 1. Say, if I wanted to go in the reverse direction, I didn't mention this before, I can actually change the position to the other end and make this negative, and then the wave will be modulated in the other direction. So that's also possible. I forgot to mention that before. Another way of modulating, well, perhaps I should come to the speed here, and I'll put these values up for you to look at. But if we have a look at the speed here, we can see at the moment I'm on 13.99. Let's put it on a value that I know works, 40. So we have a speed of 40. Set this positive. We have a speed of 40. So if I now were to get this running here, the sequencer, I've got one trig, and I've set my trig length here, we can see here actually, to a half. So you can see the trig length is set to a half. So this will play a half note and then stop here. So I've put here a trigless trig in as a marker so that you can see this doesn't actually play a note, it's a trigless trig. But let's get it playing, and you'll see it does one full cycle of the wave for a half note with a value of 40. If I change this speed value, and this is what I couldn't find in the manual, I had to sit here and work this out. If I get rid of this trigless trig here, and we go back into our trig and change this, oh, wrong one. If we set this to a full bar, 16 steps. Now, if we go back to our source, you'll see that it does twice. I'll keep my finger here. 1, 2. Right, now if I wanted just to do a full bar, then I have to change this speed value here. And I have to change it here to 35. If I change that to 35, there we go, resets. Reset there. That's it. So it's played a full bar. If I wanted to go to, let's say if we wanted to go to 8 notes, so we put some more values in, I have to change my trig here to represent this. So I have to change my trig here to 8 notes. Here we go. Now if we go back here, so I want to put some 8th notes in. Here we go. Now you see that it's resetting too quickly, so I have to adjust again my speed here. So I go to speed, and for 8th notes I need a value of 60. And hopefully you can see this. It's going a bit crazy, but every time between these notes it's doing one full cycle. Let's slow this down and go to 50 now and make this quarter notes. So we'll take these out. We have to reset our trig as well, of course, to quarter notes. Go back here again. If I hold my finger here, so maybe turn the tempo right down. You can see it's completing one full cycle. So these are the values. I'll put them up as a screenshot. I managed to work out these values, 16th notes, 8th notes, quarter notes. They weren't, I couldn't find them in the manual. Maybe I was looking in the wrong place. I don't know. I had a good look. Anyway, let's come out of here. Now, As I say, another way to modulate and not use this speed, because the values here, as I say, well, I've worked out the basic ones. You can just use your ear for the rest. But if you really wanted to lock it to the beat, then you can also use an LFO here. So we go into our modulation. Again, these values are quite cryptic. There is a method behind them. They are actually binaries, so 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. That's how they work. They work in binary because it allows you to have all these different intervals that you wouldn't get if you just set it up a different way. So if I set this to 16 and I change my BPM here, this value here, to 8, there we go. If I set that to 8, then this now, and if I set my trig here to, if I set this to 16 again, now we have our note length set to 16 steps. We also have our LFO with this strange number 16 BPM 8. We have that also set to 16 steps. So if I go now and choose a modulation destination, if I choose the position of oscillator 1 here and set that as my destination, the next thing we want to do is set this to half. Now this goes to 128, so half of that is 64. There we go. So we've set that 64. We have our speed at 16 BPM 8. Okay, and then the final thing we need to do is set this, change the mode here. We need to change this to trig mode. Otherwise it's, in the first position it's free running. The LFO will start anywhere. But here if we put it on a trig, it'll only start once the trig is triggered. So right, so if we go back to our source now, we have to turn off the animate position, set that to 0. We have to turn off the speed here, turn that to 0. Then we need to set this in the midpoint. So 120 is our range, so we need to set this to 60. We can do that with the function here, that's quite nice. So let's just go back again. You see we have our mod depth in the middle at 64. We have this set effectively to 16 steps. We go back, we have our position set to the middle, 60. So when we play here, this LFO should be in time with the sequencer now. So let's try that. Starts at the center. And once this completes 1 bar, 16 steps, there we go. So that's how we can set that. Now, we can put then different values. This is modulating over 1 bar. If we wanted to have 2 bars, then we would have to adjust our values. We can keep the values here, they're fine. What we would have to modify is here. We would have to modify our speed here. So let's try, maybe let's adjust it to do half a bar. Turn this off. We can adjust this to do half a bar then. As I say, at the moment we have this set to 16. We need to increase that to 32. So we can hold this. Set this to 32. Keep this one on 8. Now we have this set for half a bar. We go to our trig. We need to also adjust this down to half a bar. And then if we go and put in our, let's put a trigless trig in again so we have a reference point. This should now play half a bar. There we go. So if we go, half a bar, and then it stops. So using different values here and setting our trig length to different values, and I'll put a list up of these the settings you need for the LFO here. I'll put a list up for you. We can get modulation from the LFO to affect the wavetable in a controlled manner better than what you can with the speed. You can get it with the speed. As I say, I've put the list up, you can see that, but you have much more flexibility if you have an understanding of how these values work here with the LFO. Okay. So the last thing we could look at is some effects that work quite nicely. So we'll just put another, let's go here very quickly and just get rid of this, and we'll just put another note in here, and we'll change this to A4, and the length we will keep at ½ bar. Okay, so we've got that trig set up, so we can just look at some of the effects. What effects work quite nicely? Well, obviously you've got reverb, your filter, perhaps we'd want to modulate the filter, where we can go in here and use our second LFO, and let's see what we have on the speed here. We have that set to 16, so I'll change this to 32 as well, and this will then be in sync as well, because we have this on 8, yes, that's 8. We'll set the depth very shallow, maybe about 10 or something, and we'll choose here. We can go through here, get all kinds of different sounds, but just go to our filter, and we'll look at our frequency. We'll set that, yes. So now we're also modulating our filter frequency here. I'm just experimenting, but one that's quite nice is the, let's go here, is to use this Dirtshaper here. So we'll put that on here, and the rectifier, some drive, and you can move the frequencies. You can animate this as well. We'll make it 50-50. A little bit of noise. Anyway, just some ideas. I hope this video has been useful to you. I hope this video has been useful to you in learning how the wavetable works and how Wavefinder works. And I'll hopefully see you in the next video.